Yo, what's up, everybody? It's an Overreaction Monday show on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Anwar Richardson. We're back. We were back last week. We've been back a little bit, but it's always in the summer months, in the weeks. I never know what's up or down. So it's just good to have Anwar Richardson on. You can see he's not at home.
No.
So it is still summer stuff going on.
Tons of it.
Do us a solid like, comment, subscribe. Jump into the Specs chat. Do that thing where you leave us super chats. We'll take your money. I see Chris Bennett is already on a Monday morning in the chat. What up, Chris? We love having you in the chat. Guys, the Felix Ojo story is still fresh. I know it happened on Friday and it's Monday, and there will be people who are like, we're done with Felix Ojo and let's talk about John Turntine. And I think there's room for all of that. But Anwar and I are going to have a big old NIL Felix Ojo, because I don't think he and I are mad at the young man at all.
No.
And I also am not buying this Texas Tech spin that somehow they got a market deal in all of this. We'll discuss all of this throughout the show. I want to remind everybody the title sponsor of the Overreaction Monday show is RogueShop.com. I was just engaging in some RogueShop.com moments ago. My mom, Gummy, last night. Everybody was partaking in the Rogue Shop. Use that promo code Orange Bloods. It should be bookmarked at this point. But go to RogueShop.com. Just go shopping. If you have questions, let Shar answer questions in the chat. There's a little test you can fill out, and it'll let you know like what you should be looking for. It's fantastic, and we love them. They are Texas's home for legal CBD, THC, and so much more. Check them out.
The salads are great. Dude, I had to go back to one of my doctor's appointments. I've still been dealing with the stupid pinky toe for 2 years. And they're like, hey, what do you use to manage your pain? Do you take any like meds or anything like that? I was like, nah, I just use that Rogue Shop salve and, the CBD product, and it works pretty good. And I go, oh, yeah, those things work. That worked really good. So I'm like, 6 years ago.
It's one of those things they don't tell you about, but then once you tell them that they're like, oh, the gig is up. Yeah, no, you can do that too.
Exactly. Exactly. I can get addicted to pain meds, or I can just use Rogue Shop. So there you go.
Anwar, it's been a couple of days. Like now it's Monday. What is the Felix Ojo fallout? There's just no way to get around the fact that we talked about this kid for 8 months.
Yeah.
How important he was. I think everybody understands what happened, right? It's not like, oh my God, how did Texas Tech pull this off? It is kind of similar to how did they get into the finals of the college women's softball World Series?
Yeah.
They are not unafraid of like putting some money out and saying, we want to sit at the big boy table. So this morning, your head is where?
I mean, one, I'm not mad at the kid or the game, right? I'm not mad at it. I think my head more so, Catch, is Texas going to go into this world of spending, overspending, whatever it is. And we know they're not going to overspend, right? And we know they're willing to spend. It's interesting to see what the lines in the sand are, because, Catch, I saw something, and I feel like I paid attention to a lot of these kids and their signing. And I saw something when, Hayes Fawcett put this thing out, and it was per the agent that said that he got a fully guaranteed 3-year, $5.1 million deal. I've never seen anybody just openly say this is how much a guy gets paid. Like, it's usually like there's a guessing game that's usually involved. And, I think On3 has a calculator where they're kind of, thinking, estimate what things may or may not be. And I've never seen an agent be like, yo, I got my guy paid. It was almost like,
I know why that agent did it.
We know why. It's the Suge Knight. If you don't want him dancing all up in the videos.
My man was on Sports Center. Like, he was ready to strike, and I'm not mad. Because you know what happened? Texas Tech was not ready for that hit to hit like that.
Yes.
And That reminds me of the time that my man from Rogue Shop sent me some gummies and I didn't read the label. And I took 2 gummies and he called and was like, hey, man, whatever you do, don't take 2, just take 1. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'm fat. Fat guys can take more of the THC and the CBD because we had more and then bam. I was like, okay, read the label. Know what you're doing. It's a little bit like that. Like Texas Tech found out the hard way. They were like, we want the attention that comes with getting Felix Ojo until every recruit that they're after, every player on that team was like, bet.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, just so you guys know, cool. I am really happy for Felix Ojo. But if I run for 1,200 yards this year,
I can't imagine Texas Tech was happy with that because that literally does open up the floodgates. There's a difference when you can speculate, and it's this interesting catch because you're right. It's like, and hell, if you're John Turntine, or you're like, yo, wait, what? He's getting paid what? Like that just happened. So it's an interesting thing, and it's interesting too, Catch, because we see this thing in recruiting where if you don't get somebody, there's an easy way to just dog that guy out and shit on on the prospect, and now it's like, oh, Tech's paying for money, Tech's paying for these kids, and it's like, yeah. And I mean,
you know what it is, though? It's very much like it's you and I now watching transfer season in soccer. It's like when two teams want the same guy, and it's like, oh, he picked Chelsea over Newcastle, and the Newcastle people are like, oh, they just gave him more years on his contract, and he just wants to live in London. And there's always a way to rationalize the loss, and in a weird way, like what do I always say? Sometimes an excuse is just a reason why something happens. I think in this instance, if you're Texas and it's like, well, why didn't you get that guy? And it's like, well, they offered him a whole bunch more money. And it's like, well, yeah, no, that is legitimately, that is not, you don't have to give us a sad voice and act embarrassed and ashamed by it. Like this is what happens. And I wrote about this a few weeks ago, and I'm probably going to say it, one of these things that if you should just memorize this, because I could probably, if it was one of those things where if you gave me $10 every time I said it, I could buy a house at some point. In 2025, one man's $300,000 defensive tackle is another schooler, another man's $700,000 defensive tackle. And everybody's got to get out of their feelings about this notion that how dare they take the more lucrative financially, the bigger gift. And it's like, don't they know the unwritten byproduct, like the networks, and if they get a Texas degree in 20 years, it'll add up to more money than 5 point. Now it's like, guys, come on. Sometimes life really is as simple as, oh, I really don't want to live in Lubbock. Yeah, but they're offering you twice as much money. Shit, man, I can drive in from Dallas if I need to. Like,
hey, look, hey, Catch, you and I are cool. Let somebody, whoever covers Lubbock, whatever the Lubbock website is, double my salary. Yo, hey, man, Catch, it's been real.
We watch Landman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You will find a way to make Odessa.
Oh yeah,
a fun time if
They'll
you're
be
making
popping at the TGI Fridays, man. I'll have that thing cracking at Bennigan's, baby. I'll enjoy my best life. You double my salary. I love life.
Yeah, so it's just one of these things where I have a hard time. It just feels like college football fans are so used to getting in their feelings when a prospect picks another school. How dare they? Right? It becomes very personal. It's very much they pick the Aggies or they pick the Sooners, and it means that they just flat out liked them more than they liked us. And that's wrong, Anwar. That's wrong. But now it's not about feelings. Now it's about, well, look, they offered maybe a few hundred more $1,000 per year. Oh. And and the thing is, I think people are still wanting to inject the feelings. They still have to get that out. But God, you're faced with logic. The thing about the Ojo thing is on Friday, as soon as it came out, as soon as his lawyer made sure to be like, yo, FYI, in the event that anybody's wondering how this just happened, here's how it happened. And what that did was it inserted logic. So if you're a Texas fan, normally this is where you get upset because this is the guy that's been super coveted. Texas fans were real easy to pivot to, hey, we didn't really need to invest that money in this guy, not even knowing whether or not he was going to be any good for 3 years. Now, look, the coaches were ready to make that investment. But as soon as he said no, it was like, oh, what we did was we missed a bullet. We dodged it because we don't even, this guy's not going to help us next year. So why don't we take that $1 million and go see if we can find Arch Manning some help immediately. And look, I had sources not say that verbatim on War, but I did have people say financially didn't like the idea that that commitment was going to potentially be made. I think there's a better way of investing that money for what we need right now. And I was like, okay, but you guys would have taken his commitment on Friday. But it's interesting how quick you know what it is? It's one of these things where it's like, you have two good options, but none of them are great, but they're good. And so then if you don't get it, it's like, oh, well, the other one is good too. There's a weird level of no one's all in on any, you know, this really is. It's like anytime you spend a bunch of money on anything, there's a little bit of like, whew, well, I don't know if this is going to be something I regret in a few years, but here's a whole bunch of money. Let's do what we're going to do. I think there's a little bit of that exists now where it's like, okay, well, now we've done it. Now, I think Tech would have had this on the other side on Friday where it's like, okay, we got our guy. And then it's, this better work. Or this will be on our tombstone.
I mean, it's got to work better than Micah Hudson, right? I mean, that you know, the last time they got a 5-star, and you know, there was some speculation about the money was a little funny
Ojo
down
will
there
be under
in
the most immense amount of pressure of any athlete that has ever played at Texas Tech. There will be daily practice report, and the thing is, he does need time. I'm his biggest fan. I really am. I'm a guy that has had him ranked. I was the first to rank him as a 5-star, and people could say, well, then you were the first to mistakenly rate him as a 5-star. I was the first to call him the number 1 prospect in the state. I was the first to say he's a more important prospect than John Turntine because I think he's the guy more naturally slated to play tackle. But I have always said he needs to do what Trevor Gooseby did, and everybody needs to understand that what Trevor Gooseby did is not normal. It's not. It's rare that guys ever make that transition from kind of basketball player body to dominant kick-ass left tackle. It's easier said than done. When they can do it, they can be special. Look at what Gooseby's done in a real super quick amount of time. Like, not only has he done it, but he did it at 3 times the speed I think we all thought it would be at. Ojo probably going to need more time, and he has to make that big adjustment. And if he can, you've got a future NFL tackle potentially. And I tell you what, I didn't know that when I did the homework this weekend, how historically difficult that process is to pull off. It's a big gamble. It's a big gamble. And after doing digging this weekend on where I think Texas probably, if we're talking about revenue sharing money or we're talking about risk versus reward, I don't know, man. Schools have got to make a real decision about what they're going to do with these highly rated offensive line prospects. There there are very few prospects in football where you say, can we afford to invest in this guy because of how long it takes for him to develop? You don't do it at running back. You don't do it at receiver. You don't really do it at tight end. Maybe a little bit at tight end, but certainly not 3 seasons. Defensive tackle, hey, man, if they're old enough to bark, they're old enough to bite, usually, if they're defensive tackles. Linebackers, corners, these are positions where it's not automatically, add water instant players. Sometimes it takes a year or 2, but there's only one position on the field where we routinely say, hey, man, they get 5 years, and it might be through year 3 before, because we're talking about a sport where the best lines are the ones that have 21 and 22 and 23-year-old men on them. It's just
correct. The Kelvin Bankses of the world.
There's no substitute for like grown man versus children. And these dudes can pretend to be grown men, but when we would look at that Michigan offensive line a few years ago and say, my God, how are they blocking everybody? It's like, well, they got a bunch of dudes in their 20s. And they got some old man know-how and strength and 5 years of off seasons. And it's easier said than done. I just wonder what a Texas does. And there will be Kennedy Brown is the next big 5-star offensive lineman in the 2027 class. He's a little more Kelvin Banks than he is Trevor Gooseby, right? He's not the long, lean guy. He's 6'5", 295 as a sophomore. So he's the guy that you could more easily look at and go, yeah, he could probably play by year 2. So maybe that's a guy that you take. But Anwar, if I'm telling you it's going to take $5 million of investment capital, NIL or revenue sharing, one way or the other, to get a big-time offensive lineman, is that smart? Do you do it?
Yes. Here's the reason why in Longhorn Football Edits, we'll get to your super chat. But the thing is, here's the reason why, Catch, because you do that if you are Texas Tech, specifically Texas Tech. I'm not saying A&M. I'm not saying Texas. But what I'm saying is if you're a Texas Tech and you want to be at the quote-unquote big boy table and you've got the money, you've got to go out there and say, you know what? We got some money to spend. Like, it ain't going to do us no good. So guess what? We already have seen, Texas A&M is in the SEC. Texas is now in the SEC. We're kind of left behind a little bit in the state of Texas, right? We don't really have a lot.
But what do you do with Texas, though? I get the tech component.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying, yeah, my answer is, yeah, it's both things. If you're Tech, you do that. If you're Texas, you can't do that because you're competing for way too many 5 stars. You're competing for way too many high 4 stars, right? And so Tech can just say, let's just pour money into one particular guy and let's just call it a day, and then we'll build around it. Tech can say, I'll wait 2 or 3 years. Texas can't do that. Because if I get this 5-star, then this 5-star is going to want this 5-star is going to want that. Like it's a bidding thing that you got to figure out. Now, the flip side is Georgia is seemingly being able to figure out their spending because Georgia has more 5-stars committed at this moment.
It's basically the same. Yeah, I have to go back and look at exactly what I wrote, but
Georgia's class currently is ranked higher than Texas. I do know that. There's time to be worked out, right? But Georgia has seemingly figured out, okay, these are the things that we're paying guys. Alabama has seemingly figured that out.
Yeah, but look, this is the reality of recruiting right now, okay? I'll read you what I wrote because I think this is really important because this cuts through the bullshit of rankings. They don't matter. They really don't. It matters at the end. Here's all that matters. Texas currently has 3 players in its 2026 commitment class, and all that are unanimous super blue chips, which means every single service has them ranked essentially as like a national top 60 player. Diabell, Richard Wesley, John Turntine. They've got 3. All of them unanimous. Georgia has 4 consensus, but only one of them is unanimous. So as Texas has 3 players, all viewed as everybody thinks they're elite of the elite. Georgia's got 1 committed. Now they've got 4 guys total that have super blue chip elite of the elite honors, which is 1 more than Texas. But they only have 1 that's unanimous. Texas has 3. In fact, of all the schools that we're going to talk about, Texas, they're of the big 5, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oregon. Those are the 5 dominant talent bases in America right now. There's a big drop off once you get beyond the top 5. Those 5 schools combined right now have 8 players who are unanimous 5-star or high 4-star prospects. Texas has 3 of the 8. They nearly have half of all of the unanimous elite of the elite prospects that the elite of the elite schools have. So Texas is where they want to be. Texas wouldn't trade their 3 for Georgia's best 4, Ohio State's 3. Ohio State has 3 consensus super blue chips, but only 2 of them are unanimous. So they've basically done what Texas has done, except Texas has 1 more guy that's even a little bit higher. Alabama has 6 consensus super blue chips, but only 1 of them is unanimous. Oregon has 5, but only 1 of them is unanimous. So Texas has got a couple of less guys, than Alabama and Oregon, but Texas has a couple of more guys when it comes to the true elite of the elite. And onward, just to finish the thing that you were saying about Tech, the thing that I would do if I was them, and I think in Longhorn football, Edis, we will get to your super chat. Sorry that we missed it. I just think they're spending it on the wrong guy. If it were me and I was Texas Tech, I would go to Diabell, or like Michigan did with Bryce Underwood a year ago. And I think I would go to him and say, you can have $10 million a year. That I think a guy like that for a program like that, like a Diabell at Texas Tech pays back $10 million a year. It's a little bit like the Kennedy woman for Texas softball's women program. There gets to be a point where you're put on TV so much, you're talked about so much, you are singularly responsible for so much that you're worth the cost. We will get to a point where one of these programs says, you know what's more important than spending a bunch of money on a head coach? Getting the best quarterback in America. And then let's let our chips lie where they may. But what would it mean to have Bryce Underwood at UTSA? We'll spend, well, and I guess they wouldn't because they're not in, you know who I mean. What would it mean if Indiana football decided, you know what? We're taking all of our chips, we're putting them all on the table, and we're getting Arch Manning. And if Arch and his family were wired a little bit different, they could say, we want all of some school's $16 million of NIL spend. And if all of the schools knew that it was on the table and a possibility, I think somebody would have done it. I think there'd be an NC State somewhere that would go, fuck it. They can have it all.
Yeah. All right. Let's knock him out. Let's knock him out real quick. And then finish it up. He says, if the money is real, congrats to Ojo. My issue with Ojo now is how he did it. No need to burn the Texas bridge during the commit. The jab is cheap. I'll share it, Catch, for those who may have missed it. I think I do have it for up here, and I'll put it up here. So
for the next 3 to 4 years of my college decision and life, I'll be committing to the University of Texas.
Dad doesn't look happy on Laura. Like,
What'd you say?
I think Dad realized that son's embarrassing me right now, but Dad couldn't yank his kid. The camera's rolling, but look, at the end of the day, it's in poor taste. But when I was 17 years old, I set a football field on fire literally while a game was being played. Like, there was a trash can, it was rolling on the field, and I was chasing behind it, trying to beat it out with a towel, and the referees had to stop the game. And I've thought about it all these years later. Like, if that doesn't happen in 1993, but that happens in 2025. Oh, and like my life is over. Like, I'm in the bad kid school, and I don't graduate, and I don't get into Texas, and my entire life as everything is unfold. And I probably did like 10 things like that, and it's like, I just think he's dumb. He's just a dumb kid, man. And 5 years from now, when he has the lived experience of being a little bit of an adult, having a little bit of life not go his way, he'll realize that was in poor taste. And all I can tell you is he thought that was funny. And that's why he did it. He didn't think, I'm going to hurt people's feelings. He didn't think that's going to follow me my entire life and Texas fans will. He doesn't realize that Aaron Rodgers is going to be an NFL Hall of Fame quarterback. He's in his 40s. And Texas fans still think of him as the guy that got his feelings hurt because he thought Cal should have gone to the Rose Bowl in 2004 instead of Texas. It's been 21 years. And Texas fans still haven't forgiven Aaron Rodgers because he had the audacity to think we should have been in the game instead of Texas. Think about it. Think about all the things that Aaron Rodgers has done. All of the things you could be mad at Aaron Rodgers for. And you still have Texas fans in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s and their 70s who are like, I ain't never going to forgive that son of a bitch for what he said about Mac Brown.
Catch, I mean, look, we've seen you've done recruiting for years. How many times has a kid put on a hat and then thrown it to the side? Now, how many times has a kid had 5 shirts on and takes one off? And he's like, it's LSU, it's Bama, it's Georgia. You're young. You just think that.
He did not anticipate what a roar that, the way that's supposed to work is there's like and then you toss, you know what I mean? The thing is, he put the Texas hat on and the place went nuts. It went nuts more than it went nuts when he went to Tech. He misread the room.
No, he didn't misread the room. He's just young.
I'm telling you, that did not play out in his head like
he's a 17-year-old kid. There's no way for him to misread the room. He's just a young kid who thought he was going to do something fun and clever.
Because look, trust me, no one has made more inappropriate jokes in a room that they misread. Well, I can't lead. I've done it. I can't say that I lead the world in Michael Scott jokes, but I have thought I was in a room before and thought I can say what I'm about to say. And then I've said it and it's been like, oh, I am not in the place that I thought it was. All I'm telling you is I think he thought in his head that was going to go a certain kind of way. And in his head, it definitely wasn't going to go. When I announce for Texas, the roar of the crowd will be 3 times louder than the roar for when I go to Texas Tech, to such extent that everybody that I'm with will feel embarrassed by what the hell just transpired. He thought it was going to go a completely different way.
Exactly. But he'll, again, as you went to, he'll learn. I think I've told you my cardinal rule of Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it. I have a cardinal rule. Whenever I see when I'm about to tweet something, and I think it's going to be really funny.
Hey,
I hit delete. The moment I think this is going to be a banger, this is funny and clever, I literally would hit delete because I'm like, this. If I think it's funny and clever, someone else won't, and this has a possibility of backfiring on me.
When I sent my people an Ole Miss tweet, I did not think, you know what, in an hour, a likely inebriated Ole Miss athletic director is going to take me to task. I just never thought. I never thought. And I thought, it's Twitter. This is the home for like edgy, snarky commentary.
Nah. Just and you learn as you get older in life, sometimes you learn the moment you're like, I got it. I got this.
Let me tell you what I learned.
Just shut up.
I learned white people didn't want to hear that. And then if you thought, well, you know who will appreciate that? Black people will appreciate it. And instead, what I learned was, I was like, oh, I literally made a joke that nobody thinks is funny.
Yeah, it puts you in a bad position. Okay, so Felix, yes, I'm sure by judging the dad's look, when it was all said and done, somebody
I'm just telling you, I've been there before where you're like, waka, waka, waka. And you're just looking around, and he did that. Dude, go back and watch the video with no audio. Watch his face when he realizes, oh shit, these people think I'm going to they really think I'm going to Texas. His eyes go like this.
Well, yeah, because he's trying to calm everybody down, but the horses are out the barn at that point.
He's trying to wave it. I'm telling you, I've been there. I felt for him a little bit because I'm like, he probably played that out in his head 25 times. And in his mind, he was going to Denzel Washington that shit.
I don't want to, you shouldn't generalize, but I just know black parents. Ain't no way he ran that past them.
Did you look at his dad's face? It's like
there's no way he went and say, "Hey, Dad, so tomorrow what I'm going to do, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to clown UT, and then I'm going to do that." Right? There's no way. They just thought he was going to say, for the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to. I know generalization, stereotypes, so on and so forth, but I just know that generation looking at him like, what the did you do? Like, we're happy for you. Don't ever do some shit like that again. Anyway, good luck to him.
So I think, look, I'm always super compassionate for the kids in these situations. I just will always defend them, probably to a fault. Like, if someone were to say, can't you just always defend the teenagers, even when they're clearly wrong? And I don't know that that's always the case, but I lean in more than I don't. Usually because the default is, man, they just don't know shit. And like, I have some compassion for, like, I was that way once, and like, I can't pretend that I wasn't as dumb as they were. But now my thought really does turn towards, I hope he's ready for what happens next, because he'll have more pressure on him to perform than I think the head coach at Texas Tech will have to win games. And look, Joey McGuire's got pressure on him to win games, but maybe not quite as much pressure as that kid will have on him to be a great player. And, he's no sure thing. That's not what he is. He's not a guarantee on the box. I feel for the guys.
No matter a lot of pressure, considering what they spent, from maybe the fan base, because all this money that they spend in the transfer portal catch, now they're ponying up and recruiting.
They have to play him early. Like, if he's even kind of ready, don't you have to play him?
Yeah, I mean, catch. Don't forget, this is the same program that they quote unquote overspent for that Stanford. What was it, edge linebacker guy?
Yeah, David Bailey.
Yeah, and they were like, whatever, like whatever the market is, we don't care. We're just spending. So I that's the only way I'll just maybe Joey doesn't have public pressure where
I'm saying it's pressure. I just think there may actually be more pressure on the player.
Oh, well, there's definitely going to be pressure on him. He's one of the first guys, Catch, that we literally know how much money he's making. Like, we don't. Everyone has
nobody at Texas we know that about. Not one player on that Texas roster.
We're guessing. People guess what Arch Manning makes. Yes. They guess. But people guess what Quinn may or may not have made. But no one knows exactly. Like you can go to the sheet and say this is it.
I think I can get within a couple of $100,000 of Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill, but even that might be wrong. I might be wrong.
I mean, and here's look, while we may say the 5-star challenge is what it is, and we can put that in the box, and obviously, you and I said, like, that's not going to impact him from a recruiting performance, anything like that. However, when you start talking about pressure, there are going to be people who look in that locker room outside and say, wait. That guy who we just saw in this 5-star challenge, and then we know it's not real football per se, but that happened and he got this. Well, shoot, Catch. If you're the guys who were winning the battles in the 5-star challenge, I mean, you got to go to your schools and say, hey, did you see what happened? How much money that guy got? And I was beating him, or I outperformed him. It puts a lot. It probably put a lot more unnecessary pressure, I think, by putting it out there what he makes. And yeah, he's going to go to Tech and be expected to be a first-round draft pick. At that point, 5-star, you're making that much money. If you don't turn into that, then people will just absolutely think that the whole thing was a failure / a waste of money. It does put a lot of pressure, a target on his back, all that, just by announcing how much is made. I get why the guy did it. Hey, I'm trying to get more clients. Look at what I do. This is the reason why agents do that in the NFL. They leak the numbers because they want to let you know that, hey, back in the day, I'm Drew Rosenhaus. Look how much I'm getting for all my guys. Don't you want to sign with me? Because I can help you get money. It's a marketing strategy, but Felix has to know what the flip side of that comes with, which is everybody's going to be looking at you. And hell, Catch it. We know that offensive linemen, to your point, aren't supposed to start for 2 or 3 years. And look, people at Texas were asking, what's up with Brandon Baker? And why is he not on the field last year? And it was like, should he have received $750?
It's funny that you should bring that up. You literally just segued into, so Drew asks this.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just brought up the thing that I was thinking about, which is, Drew, it's an interesting thing that you bring up, because as Anwar said, I think one of the first lived experiences of watching how locker rooms deal with this NIL stuff, I have not noticed other players looking at what other guys are getting and begrudging them for it. But I will say, and I don't know that Anwar and I saw a nasty side of this, but we have witnessed where other parents they are aware of what others are making, right? So like, if your kid's an offensive lineman, everybody on that offensive line kind of knows what everybody got. Like, it's no secret. So everybody knows Kelvin Banks. Okay, man, he's getting taken care of, and he's the Mattress Matt guy. And then everybody will know that Brandon Baker got money in recruiting. Then most of the guys on that offensive line, though, are not 5-star, high 4-star guys, so they didn't come in with these massive NIL deals. It's unavoidable. It's like murmur. My kid's higher on the depth chart than that guy. He's not making $700,000 or $600,000 or whatever it is. Murmur. It's new, and it's uncomfortable, and it's just something that it exists. And I will just say, I have not noticed in a Texas locker room yet that any of that has been a problem, but it is part of this new modern age. And, we've seen it portrayed in pop culture all the time. You think about Bull Durham, right? An old 80s baseball movie. That movie is about hotshot young pitcher who doesn't know anything and kind of sucks, surrounded by grown men ball players who are better than he is, but they're not young and they don't throw 100 miles an hour and they're not viewed in the same capacity. There's just a little bit of that. Like, players are just going to have to understand this guy's, it's not about now for him. He's getting paid for what they think he's going to become. And I just haven't noticed that players I have not heard there's a locker room problem because somebody's getting paid a bunch of money and the others want a piece of it. Hasn't happened yet. Probably will somewhere though. Right? Like at some point?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You just hope it's not you.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, like and I think it's tougher, Catch. I think it's tougher at a place like Tech, right? Because you can Colin Simmons, 5-star, he makes what he makes. You've got Anthony Hill, 5-star, he's going to make what he makes. Like, everybody's going to look around in the locker room and feel like everyone's taken care of. Yeah. Everyone's got juice. Everyone was, somebody special at their high school. Some people. So that's one thing. But you're Tech. You're it. Like, you are the guy. You aren't amongst the guys. And this is just the club where everybody just comes. You're not the Yankees, right? Where everybody just gets paid, or Manchester City or whatever the case may be, right? You are literally saying, we're just paying this guy a whole lot of money, and everybody else, you guys, there may be some guys who are getting paid and overpaid, but not to that degree. And I think it adds a little bit more of, well, what the hell? Where are you on this depth chart? And and yes, the money's great, but too much is given, much is required.
Mark says that Tech tried this with Nijari and didn't accomplish anything there too. Football will be worse. I mean, Mark, they made it to the final game of the national championship series.
She just basically just burned out, the next day, right? I mean, it was just like
anything?
The next. First of all, we talked about Texas Tech softball. I would say that's
Mark, they didn't accomplish anything.
She was the face of women's softball.
I had like my 11-year-olds were talking about her.
You literally couldn't name, unless you're a diehard. If I said, name me your 5 best softball players in the country, not on Texas.
Mark, what I would say is there's no way Felix Ojo can live up to what she did. Like, I think Najari is an example of, like, when it goes right, that's what it can look like. When I say some schools should just spend $10 million of their revenue share on the best quarterback that they can get and see what happens, she's the example of, hey, man, spend it all on a truly great player and see what happens. And, like, it will fail. But for some of these schools, all they have are Hail Marys. That's all they have.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Texas Tech softball's Hail Mary last year didn't work. They were 27 outs away from a national championship. So I won't buy that. I'm sorry, Mark. But I think, Mark's larger point of this not working for Tech. Well, I love going for it. I'm not mad at Tech at all. If you're going to go for it, I wonder if this is if you're telling me that you want to give David Bailey, a kid out of Stanford, $2 million for one season because you think he can be a double-digit sack guy in 1 year for you, cool. I so get that. I get it. If you were told me you were going to do something just ballsy, I get it. This kid's not playing next year. And I don't know if you're a Texas Tech and that's the type of financial investment that you're letting the world knows about it now. He's the most famous Texas Tech football player since Michael Crabtree. He probably is more well-known right now than Patrick Mahomes was when Mahomes was the actual quarterback at Texas Tech. Like, seriously, it's at least on that level. Patrick Mahomes wasn't a household name. People are talking about Felix Ojo everywhere today. It is water cooler conversation all over the country. I just wonder, man, like if you're going to give a kid $5.1 million, and I'm not buying this Texas Tech spin today. There are people are trying to get out. Oh, it's not that much. It's only like $775,000. If it was $775,000, he'd be committed to Texas today.
Facts. The agent said what they'd have spent it like.
You don't want other kids. They don't. What they realized is like, oh shit.
Yes.
Our leading wide receiver this year is going to come to us in December after he's caught 100 passes. And he's going to say, hey, man, I'm not tripping.
Mm-hmm.
You just give me 75% of what you just gave that freshman.
Correct.
I don't even need Felix Ojo money. I'm your best player, though. You can give me 75% of it. And what Texas is banking on, and look, they could be wrong. I had sources in the program who thought that the spring portal would be better than it was, and it wasn't. Yeah. I think Texas feels like they handled the spring portal as well as anybody did, but it wasn't as loaded with talent as they thought. So, like, these things are moving targets, and you'll have to forgive people if 9 months before something happens, they didn't nail it. But there are people at Texas right now who on July 7th are looking at what Texas Tech is doing, having they just survived doing this in January. What does it look like when you go to a Final Four and the stock market for player prices is out of control and you have to keep your entire roster? One of the things I wrote about at Orange Bloods this weekend is what does it really cost Texas to keep its talent base? It's a lot of money. And, you know, I just think that they think that these schools like Texas Tech have overcommitted themselves in ways that when this season is over with, there are going to be players they don't have locked up into long-term deals who are going to say, hey, I don't even need 1.7 million, but you can give me 0.7. Mm-hmm. And they don't think Texas Tech's going to have it. And they don't think the other programs around they think in December, the market will be ripe to cherry pick some of these financial faux pas that have occurred. We'll see. Like, I can't tell you that it's definitely going to happen. What I'm telling you is there already is an anticipation at a place like Texas who they've lived what all these other schools haven't really lived through yet. Say this about Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. They've experienced how hard it is to keep a roster together, really, when everybody wants your players. I think they feel like, let's see what it's like in December when these dudes want to get paid and these schools are telling them, we don't have the money to pay you like that. And, oh, by the way, we can't give you NIL money because we don't have the corporate partnerships to do it. I know that you think you can go to Texas and get a corporate partnership worth X. Oops. You know, it's just – so sit tight. Like, there's a long game being played, and I don't know what it's going to look like on, or I'll just tell you that people at Texas think they're well positioned. Yeah.
But and catch, by the way, if you are Texas, all right, and let's just talk about the coaching aspect for a second. If you've got Kyle Flood as your offensive line coach / offensive coordinator, right, and you got Kyle Flood, and you know this guy is churning out NFL talent. And you know that, hey, within a year or two, you know, they made Trevor Gooseby, and within 2-3 years, into a guy who's going to be a starting offensive lineman. And, you know, and Gooseby's going to earn less than Ojo is. And you feel like, wait a second, but we've got a system and product here. Why we're not so desperate that we have to spend so much money where we know that we've got a good system here that can develop guys and get you to where you need to be. So it's not to say you live off of the Goosebys of the world. Like, let's not be. You can't do that. That's bad for business. We saw what happened under Herman trying to do that.
Some of those guys have to hit, and they feel like they can get some of them do.
But if I can get a John Turntine for half of the price, and we know we can develop him, and his ceiling could be just as high as Ojo's ceiling, you say, okay, we'll pass on that, because that's not, quote unquote, something that's a game changer here at Texas. Like we would look, it's like wants versus needs. We would want to have you. Well, we don't need you. We would like to, though. It would be great. It would be great to have, the car that's, $150,000. But what you really need is a car to get you back and forth that's not going to break down and be reliable. And maybe that could fit the kids or whatever the case may be, right? So I just think if you're Texas and you say, look, we've got Kyle Flood, and we know what Kyle Flood's been doing year after year after year, we don't have to stretch ourselves or overstretch ourselves to get somebody, because we can develop these people on our roster to have the same ceiling that this other person's going to have for half the price.
$10 super chat from Lane A, one of our last comments before we get out today. Bus, bad development, and broken promises will slightly even out the roller coaster in a couple of years. Lane, God help any of these kids that suffer injuries. Oh, because we know what it is like pro sports fans when, think about the Indiana Pacers. They're in the finals, and then you lose your guy Tyrese Halliburton to an injury like that, and you just know you're done. I also, let me just acknowledge an elephant in the room. At some point, some school is going to have like 2 grams of marijuana planted on a kid. And they're going to have campus police arrest that kid. And they're going to be like, out of the contract. That's what we're going to see. We are going to see kids that wouldn't have previously been suspended for a game. Anwar and I know, man, we have talked to coaches who their response to when their kids have gotten into trouble has been like, hey, man, we're just out here trying to win games. I don't know what you want me to do. Yeah. Well, so we live in a universe where we know where we make fun of the Kevin Sumlins of the world because they'll suspend a guy for a game 7 weeks down the road at halftime when they're playing Sam Houston State. We will see a situation where a kid gets dropped from a multi-million-dollar contract because of some petty misdemeanor crime. And every contract's going to have a morals clause in it. And it's going to be like,
yes,
don't get arrested.
Boy, looky here. You better keep your head on us. Don't get arrested. You better be careful about what random woman you decide to take back to your place.
Can't catch a case, man.
Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel.
Can't catch a case because they'll let you go and say we couldn't take whatever the outcome was, and then guilty, not guilty, it won't matter at that point. Like you literally got. If I was a parent of one of these kids, man, Felix Ojo wouldn't be leaving my house. I don't know who you're with. I watched what you did at that press conference. Boy, you are not going outdoors for 12 months. I can't trust you. You acted a damn fool with that hat. Had everybody thinking you were going to Texas. Made me look like a fool. You think I'm going to trust you to go to a party? You ain't dropping the bag, son.
Hey, there's a reason why you don't see a lot of Texas kids now who got money to really, really lose. You ain't seeing them out there wilding out at 6th Street. Them dudes are like, yo, I'm
God. If I'm one of those parents, I'm hiring somebody on the team, a trainer. I'm giving them enough cash. I'm giving them a burner phone. You text me if my boy is out. If that kid leaves the dorm after 11 o'clock, I'm paying you to send me a text to let me know. We are not dropping the bag. Can you imagine if it was you and I gave you a $5.1 million deal, Anwar, how careful you would be with everything you ever did? Now imagine it was like, hey, Anwar, I'm going to give you $5 million, but it's connected to Titan. And Titan's behavior for the next, I don't know, decade will determine how much, oh my God.
Dude. Hey, that kid wouldn't be able to breathe,
going
man.
to public schools. I'm telling you that right now.
Listen, I'd be on that Life 360 app watching the thing like it was the NASDAQ, boy. I'm like, where you at? Where you at? Life 360 say you do what? Get your ass back in the house.
What are you doing on those swings, son? Like, oh, it just, yeah.
JD said, just trying to share some of this sports betting bread. I guess he must have won.
JD, hopefully you did it on Prize Picks. Big Tex, last thing, I'll let you have the last word. OB needs to get a GoFundMe going for the victims of the flood. It's killing a lot of Texans, and I think we should make a difference. Big Tex, I'm glad you brought it up. Honestly, this show today, I needed it. I didn't realize how bad I needed Anwar and you guys for like an hour to just talk about anything not related to the important stuff in the world. Shout out to one of our subscribers. I don't even, I hate to even mention the guy's name or even his handle, but we did have a subscriber on Orange Bloods whose daughter was lost this weekend to the flooding. As we wrap up the show, please know, like we've been as devastated as anybody by what's happened. It's impossible to watch the images and to know about the girls and the families and the young people, and just devastating. I don't know what we're going to do yet, Big Tex, but I was even on our team's channel last night. We'll do something. I don't know. Like, there's a million places that you can go to donate, right? So don't wait for Orange Bloods.
Yeah, don't wait for us. Like, if it's in your heart to do it, do it. Like,
it is on my brain to try to think of something that we could do that I don't know what the answer is yet. I'll be honest. I thought about Haruka Weiser and what we did a number of years ago when she was taken from us, and we raised money and was able to get a bench dedicated to her on campus. I don't know. I don't know. It's so new. And honestly, people are grieving, and just like, we'll get there. We will do something. Geez, Tex Blonde 05's house was flooded this morning. There's a lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff. There are ways to give. Like, don't wait for us. But Big Tex, when we are able to figure out something that we can do that would be meaningful in its own special way, beyond, again, there's a million ways you can donate money and give help and donate supplies and stuff like that. But when we figure out what we think would be an appropriate and rightful gesture and cause, and like, we'll figure it out and we'll do it. We'll always be there to do that. I just don't know, sitting here at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning, I yet know what it is. I've had some ideas, but gosh, we need a little bit of time, I think, again, I would say, if you want to help immediately, please do. Go help immediately. Go find the Red Cross. Go find disaster relief. Go find the one thing you probably find on Facebook right now is a million ways to help from everybody's family knows somebody who's been impacted by this. So find a way to help. Let's all help. And when we get an opportunity, we will do something special, even if at this moment we don't know what that is. Guys, we got to go.
That's, when I always, the old-fashioned show always would close it out, live each day like it's your last. Because one day it will be. Like, this is why it's so important to, enjoy your life. Don't take it for granted. Player, you and I were talking about that online. Like, don't take life, this thing that we have, for granted. Don't take today for granted. Use today to go out and reach out to someone that you haven't thought about in a while, to say, I was just thinking about you. Like life comes at you fast, and you and I, as parents, we know. I can't even imagine. I wouldn't be able to function. So keep everybody in your prayers. And like you said, if you can go out and do something, we'll do something eventually. But if it's in your heart, do it today. And then, hell, no one says you can only do it once.
Yeah.
So go out, support today. When we figure out what we're going to do, you can do something then. It doesn't have to be a one-time thing.
Yeah. Again, know that we'll do something. We are, all of our hearts, I think, as a community, always in the best place of wanting to do something to help. Let's be active. And look, final word. If anything this weekend, if we learned anything, call somebody that you love that you didn't call this weekend and tell them that you love them, because there will be people that we know that won't ever get to do that again with people that they really, 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 really love. And so don't take that for granted. Share your love, hug on your children, hug on your parents, let people know today how much they mean to you, because that is a regret you don't ever want to have to live with, never having told somebody that enough. Guys, for myself and for Anwar Richardson and our guys over at rogueshop.com, Richard Shar, they're just the best people. They have a great product. They do a great service, and they're a great sponsor. Well, they help make us go. So go check out rogueshop.com. Use that promo code OrangeBloods. We'll be back for.
And by the way, can't take next week. I will be in Atlanta, just so everyone knows. Like we are inching closer to football. SEC Media Days begins next Monday. So we'll be broadcasting. I think with myself, I think Cody will be out there. Alex will be there. Sonny will be there. Everyone doing things at different times. But just know we are 1 week away from SEC Media Days getting started. I just want to make
Hells sure yes. That's worth getting excited for. So look, for Anwar Richardson and myself, we're a week away really for the unofficial start of the college football season. I don't care what anybody says. Hit the thumbs up button for that. Guys, we'll talk to you soon. It's been a fun Overreaction Monday show. It was therapeutic in a lot of ways.